Dear rabbis, papi, mommy, family, and friends, welcome and thank you for being here with us this morning. Today, as I was called into the Torah to read my portion as bar mitzvah, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, especially those who flew in from Venezuela, Pennsylvania, and Israel to be here with us today. I would also like to thank my rabbi for teaching me all my prayers and songs, and for being so dedicated and patient. Because without him, I would not have been able to do this. Lastly, I'd like to thank my parents who have done everything possible for me. And now that I'm a bar mitzvah, they're done. Papi, mommy, you're off the hook. Thank you, you're the best. Blah, blah, blah. We'll get back to the thank yous later. So we can all understand a little bit more about what I just read today. My parasha is called Kitisa. Kitisa tells us about when the Jewish people are each told to contribute half a shekel to the sanctuary, and are given detailed instructions on the ark's construction, sort of like the architectural blueprints of the ark. And what a coincidence this is, since architecture sort of runs deep in my family. Although the highlight of the parasha is when Moses does not return from his trip up Mount Sinai when expected, and the Jewish people decide to build a golden calf and begin to worship it. Moses then descends from the mountain with the 10 Commandments and sees his people honoring the idol. He then breaks the tablets and destroys the idol. God gets mad at the Jewish people for not honoring him as one God. And then Moses returns to the top of the mountain and says, "If you do not forgive me, then blot me out from the book that you have written." God then forgives the Jews, and Moses finally returns with the new tablets. When Moses stands up to God, it shows what can happen when he stands up for his people, and in return they stand with him. When Moses stood together with his people, they felt unified and were able to overcome what at the time was a very difficult situation, simply because of the one thing they had in common. They were all one big Jewish family, helping and supporting each other. To me, this may be one of the main teachings of my parasha, and one that I can very well relate to, because I too have one big Jewish family. One that helps and supports each other. Either I would take me to bar mitzvah classes, Baba picked me up from school, or when Michael's preserving the family history with his both through the pictures, or mom and dad are going crazy doing other stuff with my sisters and I. At the end of the day, my family always stands together as one. It is funny, because any Shabbat dinner or any other holiday gathering at home usually turns into a storytelling about how everyone looks like someone else that was before, with stories and memories from the past. Which makes me realize that in the end, we really are a big family. One that has stood together a long time and through many, many things, good and bad. And it is now my turn to keep up with the tradition and continue to stand together as one and carry on with our Jewish ways of life. One thing is also true about our family gatherings. Once the Berenikas are out, it's every man for himself. Other than that, at the very least, it's 99% family and 1% Berenikas. I've been studying for my bar mitzvah for a little over a year. I started with an overview of how to read, which I thought was hard, but then I started the prayers, with the tunes and the songs and the words. And every time we began a new prayer, I thought I couldn't do it. But once I finished and read through the whole thing over and over again, I knew it was worth the trouble of learning it. Sometimes my rabbi made the readings more interesting by explaining some words, which became stories and ended up in very interesting conversations. This made me feel like I knew what I was doing, because I truly understood what it was about. Meaning can really give things a lot of depth, and for this I would like to deeply thank my rabbi. Without these conversations and explanations, I think that this would have been very boring, and even worse, it would have been meaningless. I've come to realize that my life is like a very long trip, literally and figuratively. It is actually more than a trip, it has been a journey, one in which I still have lots of places to visit, people to meet, and things to do. These places will turn into mental images, the people will become friends, and those things to do will turn into stories and memories that I will be able to revisit in the future and maybe share or simply cherish on my own. But right now, I would like to talk about a very special trip that took place this past few years, when I spent 2 weeks in Israel, where I had the opportunity to visit the Kotel and the ruins of the old temple for the first time and then again. Each time I saw it, I was more amazed. What amazed me most was the size, the detail, and the architecture of it all. And for those of you who are not paying attention to my speech, architecture is mentioned in my parasha. Remember? The blueprint for the ark? The instructions on how to build it? Rings a bell? Well, back to the Kotel. It is really amazing how all the architecture from thousands of years ago, and that after all this time, it is still standing there today, so people can go, see it, and pray as they did back in the times. That is truly amazing and meaningful. I used to think that having a bar mitzvah was just reading from the Torah and boom, you're an adult. But then, after the trip and walking through that history, and after I started learning, studying, and even seeing my friends before and after their bar mitzvahs, and how they learned what they read as if they lived it, I finally understood that being a big part of a bar mitzvah is living up to the story written thousands of years ago, and carrying on with the Jewish traditions as my family before me has done. I would now like to finish this speech by thanking my family, my parents, and yes, even my sisters. Let me start with my grandparents, who are always one call away from anything I need. No conditions, no strings attached. It is like as if they're just sitting there waiting for me to call them and ask them for something, like a 24/7 on-call service. You really have to try. It's really cool. Abu, thank you for teaching me how to cook, how to help in the kitchen, and how to clean up. I sometimes think that I've been enrolled into med school. Oh, sorry, not med school, maid school. Or should I call it pre-med? Anyways, thank you very much, and I love you. Abuelo, thank you for always helping me out, and with your camera always in hand, I'm pretty sure that you've taught me about how to take great pictures, so that from now on, I can preserve my own history in the same great way as you have. Next is Baba. Thank you for always driving me around when Mommy and Papi can't, and for staying with us when they're always on a trip. I love you very much as well. To my sisters, Jessie and Steffi, as crazy as they can drive me, and what big brother cannot relate to this? I can truly say that there aren't any better sisters out there than mine. Of course, there's the usual tattletelling and make-believe crying to get me in trouble for something I did not do. And yes, I have to admit that it's very hard not to fall for it when you have such cute faces. But at the end of the day, they always have my back, and they're always looking after me in their very own special ways. Jessie, Steffi, thank you for being you and for always sharing your smiles and your laughs with all of us. I love you very much. To my parents, where do I start? Mom, you're always ready to drive me anywhere, help me with anything, lay up my clothes, even though you say I should do it myself, defend me from Papi after he's got me tied up in a very strange position, and for no reason whatsoever, and for teaching me stuff like table manners, hygiene, and exercise stuff. You are always there for me when I need you, so thank you very much. I love you. Are you crying now? And my dad, Papi, Papi, Papi. You've taught me many useful things, like how to ignore Jessie and Steffi, how to put on my tefillin, how to stay awake in synagogue during service, which I hope you're exercising right now, how to write things such as a speech, and most important, como sacar el gato. Some of the lessons have come painfully, like when I learned not to touch your bananas, but some have come easy, because you work so hard and patiently to help me and teach me whatever way you can, in any way you can. Thank you, Papi. I love you very much. To all my friends and family, thank you for coming and sharing this very important day with us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. What can you add? Such a great performance. Papito, Mommy wanted me to say a couple of words, and you know how things work. I said no, and here I am saying a couple of words. So I promise to be quick, to the point. I know that you have friends here, and one can only bear so much embarrassment for one day. And we still have Sunday, the party on Sunday, so here I go. First of all, I want to be the first one to congratulate you and tell you what an incredible job you just did. And I'm not saying this lightly or just because it is customary to tell this to the bar mitzvah boy. I actually wrote two versions, one in case it weren't that good. Sometimes we forget how hard it is to do something that we're not used to or that we might not fully understand the reasons as to why we're doing it. But in your case, it is even more incredible because during this whole year, not only did you learn your parasha, your prayers, the tunes, and everything else, but you had to learn a whole new language before you were able to even start learning and get ready for this day. And right there, that says a lot about you. It actually depicts your whole character and your personality and the way you've been since you were a little cute, chubby, bouncy boy. Yes, chubby and bouncy. I said when he was a cute boy. You've always been like that. You have been a plug and play, ready to go, self-taught, do it yourself kind of guy. And what is truly amazing is that you always come up on top. Whatever you set your mind on, you do it, you put it 1000%, and you do it great. And today, that's exactly what you did. seeing you pray the way you did and listening to your speech, what you learned from this whole experience, your whole journey, even your jokes. And by the way, for the record, the structure of the whole Alan's speech and the concept and everything, it was 100% his idea. He wanted to write his own speech, his own words, and his own jokes. And this is just another example of that great attitude that we so much admire and love about you. As for the rest, and to wrap this up, on behalf of your mom, your sisters, who by the way asked me to tell you that they love you to the moon, around and back, and of course me, I just wanted to let you know again that we are all very proud of you and of who you have become. Congratulations, and we love you very much. To all of you, thank you for being here with us today, and please join us for the time and a breakfast after this.